here at Citizens Bank Park. Phillies take the field. Let's take a look at the Cubs starting lineup. Cubs offense coming to life of late. Todd Walker leads off at second base, followed by Corey Patterson in center. Sammy Sosa is in right field with the hot duo in left and first for the Cubs. Aramis Ramirez, the third baseman. Michael Barrett behind the plate. Alex Gonzalez, the shortstop, and Kerry Wood makes his third start since coming off the DL.
No Jim Thome tonight, and anytime you can catch the Phillies without the league's leading home run hitter, you should be in pretty good shape. So the defense for the Phillies, Burrell, Ledee, and Abreu left to right. They're having some center field problems. Ricky Ledee, a decent outfielder, but not a center fielder by trade. Bell, Rollins, Polanco, and Utley in the infield. Mike Lieberthal behind the plate. Hard-throwing Brett Myers on the hill. And he's really struggled this year. He's been wild in the strike zone. It's not that he's walked that many guys. It's just that he's gotten behind. He's thrown the ball in the zone. And if you throw fly balls in this park, and Larry Bow already told us that 4 of his 5 starters are fly ball pitchers. Consequently, they will give up a huge number of home runs.
And there are a couple of our umpires for the game today. The regular umpiring crew of Joe West, Paul Emmel, Mike DeMuro, and Darren Spagnardi. Only Spagnardi was able to get to the ballpark in time for tonight's game 1. We've had horrible thunderstorms in the Delaware Valley all day long today, and so the other umpires had to fly or attempt to fly into Baltimore and will make their way to Philadelphia, hopefully in time for game 2 tomorrow.
Well, they should be able to make it before the end of the game. The question is, when they get here, will it be early or late in the ball game? Because Baltimore by car isn't all that far from Philadelphia. So a chance to get here, but meanwhile, the only major league umpire, and he's what's called a vacation ump, is Darren Spagnardi behind the plate. There are the dimensions, although some would say might be a little shorter than that. We'll see tonight.
So Todd Walker gets tonight's leadoff assignment. He's hitting .280 on the year with 11 home runs and 29 driven in. Brett Myers 0-4 in his last 5 Philadelphia starts. A man that won 14 games last year has really fallen on hard times at 5-7. 76 degrees at game time tonight, and he falls behind, as has been the scouting report, ball 2.
There were a lot of people that likened Brett Myers to Kerry Wood. He came up through the system quickly. He was a first-round draft pick, the 12th overall in June 1999.
3 balls, no strikes to Todd Walker.
Well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you know you're in a small ballpark and you have trouble keeping the ball down, you don't want to throw too many pitches in the zone. He hasn't yet.
And still has not. 4 pitches puts Walker aboard, and it doesn't take these fans in Philadelphia long to uncork the booze. Walker leads off with the base on balls in front of Corey Patterson. One wouldn't think the Cubs would be bunting early in the game, not in this bandbox.
No, I think you want Corey Patterson to swing away. Now, this is a real good defensive infield. Even with Utley at first, who's a second baseman by trade.
So Walker leads, and Patterson 5 straight out of the strike zone from Myers. 1 ball, no strikes.
Joe Kerrigan, former teammate of mine with the Baltimore Orioles, is the pitching coach for these Philadelphia Phillies. And it's been the tail end of the rotation, says Larry Bow, that's really plagued them.
There's a strike. 1-1 your count.
Jimmy Rollins and Placido Polanco make a formidable double play combination. And there's a look at the skipper, Larry Boa.
There's the curveball.
Well, that's probably the best pitch that Myers has. It's a big overhand curve. It breaks sharply. And it's the first one he's been able to throw because it's the first time he's used the fastball to get over the plate. And the curveball's the wipeout pitch.
1-2 now. Breaking ball bounced toward Utley at first. Second base for 1. No return as Myers got there late, and Patterson outran him anyway. So the force play retires Walker. Sosa hits with 1 on, 1 out.
It's no secret that the Phillies desperately want a center fielder, and they're targeting Steve Finley of the Diamondbacks. But the cost would be the man who caught this ball at first, Chase Utley. And the Phillies say there's no way that they're giving him away anytime soon. Wisely, Rollins just holds it because Corey got down there too quickly.
Sammy Sosa in right field tonight, hitting .267 on the year. Hard to believe there's a ballpark in baseball that gives up home runs more frequently than Coors Field in Denver, and we're playing in it for the first time tonight. That's right through there for a strike.
Corey
Patterson count to Sammy
with a false break at first base, maybe trying to see if he can read the move of Myers. It's good for good base runners to get what's called a one-way lead. Get a little farther lead with the only thought to go back to first base. Force the pitcher to make his best move and show it to you. And Corey got back so easily that now he knows he can take another step. If you can get back standing up, you can lengthen your lead, and Corey's percentage is pretty good in stolen bases, and he is the Cubs' running attack.
Good cut, ripped straight back, but Sammy down to his last strike here in our first inning.
Well, you'd think he's going to see a curveball. Myers also has a straight change. He's not all that confident with that. He also has a forkball. He throws the straight change more than the forkball. And Sammy down 0-2, a world of possibilities. Lieberthal looking over in the dugout to see if Joe Kerrigan might have some idea of how to go at him.
Sammy's been laying off that high fastball a little more frequently. That one around his chin. And now he'll see a 1-2 pitch from Brett Myers.
If Sammy lays off the high fastball and makes the pitchers get the ball down in this park, he's going to be awfully tough to contain. But he hasn't seen the curveball yet.
1-2. There it was, and it's tipped, and the ball hit the ground. Spagnardi says the ball hit the dirt first, and Larry Boa is going to come out and argue about that.
Well, I think Larry wants the appeal to a guy who he thinks can see it better. That's Scott Graham at first base. Spagnardi says, look, I saw it.
And Spagnardi says he saw it too, so Boa doesn't win that argument. And Sosa gets another swing. Did it hit the dirt?
It certainly looked like it hit the dirt. Good call by Darren Spagnardi.
But I don't think Sammy made any contact.
Quite possibly.
So the Cubs get a break. And the count 1-2 to Sammy Sosa. They play him to pull in the outfield. And it's hammered toward third. Bell with the catch. Hard hit ball, but right at the Phillies' third baseman, David Bell. 2 outs.
David Bell made a few errors early, but lately the glove work has been good. Sammy does get a fastball, pounds it, but he hits it right at Bell, who was playing wide of the bag. And now Moises with a chance. He's among the league leaders in home runs. And left center in this ballpark, awfully inviting for a right-handed pull hitter.
He and Derrek Lee have been crushing the baseball of late. 24 homers, 60 driven in for the Cub left fielder. That home run total already surpassing last year's season total for the Cubs. And a chance with 2 outs to give Kerry Wood an early lead tonight.
If you're not a running team, it's tough to do too much running in this park, because with a Cub team that hits a lot of home runs in a bandbox of a ballpark, you just don't want to get taken out of an inning by having a base stealer thrown out. Cubs haven't seen Myers a great deal. Moises 0 for 6 lifetime against him. But Myers has fallen on some hard times.
First pitch to Alou coming. And the breaking ball at the knees for a called strike. What the Cubs have seen of Myers, they haven't particularly liked. He's 2-0 lifetime against them with a sub 2-point earned run average. He's a talented pitcher, and the Phillies need him to turn it around and carry some games deep into the ball game.
He's only 23 years old, and he is a power pitcher, although he's not striking out a lot of men this year. There's been a lot of pressure on that Philly pen because the starters haven't been around.
Patterson's running to pitch high and tight. The throw to second is well late. Patterson with his 12th stolen base. And now a Moises Alou hit could plate the game's first run.
Tough ball to throw by Lieberthal because it's up and in. Chases Alou out of there. The throw is high. Corey able to slide in under the tag. Abreu has a great arm in right field.
Remember, a lot of rain all day today. The baseball should be tough to handle in the outfield if Alou hits it that way. And now he's down to his last strike at a ball and 2 strikes in the first inning. One, 2. Good eye evens the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And in the on-deck circle, Derrek Lee has just pummeled Brett Myers. Moises can keep it alive. Derrek will come to bat here in the first.
Big lead out at second for Corey, and the breaking ball beaten into the ground toward Wendell Kim. And Moises, a cog of this Cub attack. Not surprisingly, when he hits well, the Cubs play well.
Well, he ought to love this ballpark. Haven't talked to a hitter yet that doesn't love this park. Conversely, unless you're a sinker baller, you're not going to have too much fun here.
And that'll be the challenge for the Phillies. Can they lure them or grow them down on the farm? 2-2 now. Check swing, roller back to the mound, and Myers escapes the first inning. No runs, no hits. 1 man left. After a half inning, Kerry Wood to the mound for the first time. Jimmy Rollins leads off at shortstop. Placido Polanco bats and plays second. Bobby Abreu, the slugging right fielder, hits third. Pat Burrell moves back into the cleanup spot. He's been slumping this year with Chase Utley at first. Bell, Leday, and Lieberthal, the lower portion, with Brett Myers, the Philadelphia starting pitcher, hitting ninth.
Cubs Pepsi defense with Alou, Patterson, and Sosa left to right. Ramirez, Gonzalez. You're looking at Todd Walker, Derrek Lee at first base. Michael Barrett behind the plate. And Kerry Wood on the hill. There you look at the numbers. The ERA, very impressive. Opponents hitting just 197 year after year. Kerry Wood is at or near the top of the National League and toughest to hit.
Slashed out of play by Rollins, who's coming off a 4-hit performance against the Marlins yesterday. A game that, for Phillies fans, was disappointing. They fell 10-8. And consequently are tied with Atlanta atop the Eastern Division pile.
Rollins has always hit Wood well. And there's not too many guys that can really say that. As far as the Phillies running attack, Rollins right up there along with Bobby Abreu. If you can control those 2 guys, you've effectively taken away just about every bit of running this Philly team can do.
The 0-2 pitch is beaten on the ground past Derrek Lee and into right field and into the corner. Sammy a long way to run, and Rollins around second on his way to third, where he'll make it without a play. Leadoff triple for the Phillies, 5 of those for Rollins, and Placido Polanco a chance to put them in front.
Well, the only way that Jimmy Rollins is going to be able to pull Kerry Wood is on a breaking ball, and that's what he got. It's a good hard slider. It's not a bad pitch. But Rollins just got out in front, took it right down the line, past the diving Derrek Lee, and then he's off to the races. And he is a burner. Polanco is out of the Cardinal organization, where they talk a whole lot about executing, and you don't strike out Polanco very much. He will put the bat on the ball more times than not.
Slider down and away. Nice stop by Michael Barrett. 1 ball, no strikes to Polanco.
Good pitching coach or manager will tell the pitcher in this situation, don't worry about the man at third. Keep getting out every successive hitter. We can live with one. Don't open the door for a big inning by losing your concentration.
Line to right. It's 1-0 Philadelphia. 18 RBIs for Polanco.
Inside fastball, and Polanco inside outs it, meaning taking the inside pitch to the opposite field. 2 hitters, 1 run, and a guy that you always have to worry about, Bobby Abreu. Larry Bowe was singing his praises, talking about his entire game, the speed aspect, the defense, and his ability to both hit and hit for power.
He was talking his praises too, but when he was really excited, the singing part really shined in our conversation with the Philadelphia skipper. And why not? 6 straight years of 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases or more for Bobby Abreu. This was one that Tampa Bay Devil Rays let get away, you might recall. Abreu, originally out of the Astros farm system, was selected by Tampa Bay in the expansion draft. They traded him to the Phillies for Kevin Stocker.
Well, actually came down for the Houston Astros to who they thought was going to be a better player, Richard Hidalgo or Bobby Abreu. They kept Hidalgo, exposed Abreu, and they both became good players.
And Hidalgo has been a different man since putting on that Mets uniform under Don Baylor and Art Howe. And New York also thinking about the playoffs. They're 3 back in the National League East. 2 balls and a strike. Kerry has yet to retire a Philadelphia hitter here and trails by a run.
Polanco doesn't have much speed. You don't figure him to be going here. Abreu has only grounded into 4 double plays and 337 at-bats. That's actually a very low total. Outfield playing him straight away, and you have no choice really but to play him deep on the corners because it's so shallow.
Laser beam out of play. Full count to Abreu. Will the Phillies run him now?
Well, he's on a pace to strike out about 110 or 20 times, so it would be a big gamble. If Kerry Wood throws that hard slider low and in, he's got a real good chance of striking him out. And without the speed and the heavy footing, you got a chance of throwing him out.
Not going. Pitch is low. 2 on, nobody out. 3 men up, 3 men on. And here's a man that the Phillies have to be concerned about. Pat Burrell has had a tale of 2 seasons. He started the year in very good shape. Lately, he's really been struggling for the Phillies, and he is bearing the brunt of heavy media and fan criticism here in Philly.
Well, Bill Conlon, who is a noted sports writer here in town, wrote an article that was just a barbecue job of Pat Burrell. He said he's the only athlete in a town's checkered professional sports history to be consistently cheered doing a 209 season. In the middle, he goes, well, big guy, the red laser dot is in the middle of your forehead now. So bear in mind something. This guy has also driven in more runs than anybody on the Cub team. And this article is an article that I don't think anybody would like to have written about him. So there's a lot of pressure on Burrell.
1 ball, no strikes. 2 on, nobody out. Kerry doesn't have real good command right now. 2-0.
And here comes Larry Rothschild. He wants to make sure that Kerry doesn't get in such a deep hole the Cubs can't get out of it. former #1 draft choice out of the University of Miami. Hit everywhere he played from Little League up until last season, and mysteriously last year everything fell apart for him. Not only hitting .209, he drove in just 64 runs while fanning 142 times, and nobody could understand it or explain it. The only thing they can figure is he's pulling out, trying to pull everything, but he does have great power.
Out of play to the right side, 2 balls and a strike to Pat Burrell. His nickname was Pat the Bat.
Something that he didn't particularly care for, but look at the career numbers against Kerry Wood. For a right-hand hitter, that's particularly impressive. Greg Gross, a hitting instructor, wants him to go to right field. You can tap the ball out of the park here in that direction.
2-1. Ball 3 inside. 15 first inning pitches for Kerry Wood tonight.
Kerry could use a ground ball. That would undoubtedly turn into 2, as Burrell doesn't have a whole lot of speed.
High fly ball to right. That's playable for Sammy Sosa. Polanco, you figure, will be tagging at second. He is. And the throw hits the cutoff man. First out. Polanco in scoring position. Abreu holds it first. And that'll bring up Chase Utley, another one of these Phillies, Steve, that is difficult to strike out.
Utley is one of their top prospects that's coming of age in the major leagues. He made his mark in spring training as a second baseman, but he's not going to play in front of Polanco. He can also play first, and they figure eventually he's really going to be able to hit. He's a tall, thin left-hander who loves the ball down. Earlier this year, John Smoltz threw on about 96 right at the shoe tops, and he took it out of the ballpark into the bullpen about 440 feet away.
8 homers, 34 driven in for the Phillies' first-round pick 4 years ago. And Utley saw action in 43 games for the Fightin' Phils last year.
Abreu has great speed, and he's a terrific base runner at first.
Kerry falling consistently behind. 1 ball, no strikes to Chase Utley.
Abreu's stolen 22 bases in 23 attempts. Dusty had a real good day calling pitch outs yesterday.
Grounded toward third on contact. Runner tries to come home, but the Cubs turn the double play and get out of that first inning. What a play around the horn for the Cub defense. They bail out Kerry Wood. Phillies touch him up for a run, and that's it. And they lead it after 1 zip.
Ladies and gentlemen, the race for president of...
Said it during the inning. You give up 1, you like your chances. That's what Kerry Wood was able to do.
Especially in this ballpark and as many runs that should be scored by the Cubs tonight. The way led by Derrek Lee, who's always had some good looks at Brett Myers.
6 for 11 lifetime, including a home run. The big breaker stays high. That's tough to do with a 6'5" slugging first baseman. 2-0 the count to Derrek.
Well, don't forget that he was with the Marlins. They were in the same division as Philadelphia, and the Marlins have had a great run of luck against Philadelphia.
Were they 7-1 against these guys?
I think they've won 16 of the last 17 games. When the Phillies beat them here in the last 2-game series, it was almost cause for a parade.
Well, they'll have a chance to gain some ground starting Monday. That's where the Phillies play next, down in South Florida. And speaking of the Marlins, they're winning tonight in Montreal, a team they have also dominated in head-to-head play. Fly ball hammered left field off his thumbs. Burrell back to the wall, and Derrek Lee christens Citizens Bank Park with a solo home run to tie the game.
Well, you know, Derrek Lee has seen Myers when you've got confidence, and in this ballpark, Derrek Lee didn't hit that ball well at all. And I think Brett Myers is probably out there, like so many of these Philly pitchers, you're just shell-shocked. Was home run number 17. He's driven in 58. Myers gets a fastball up. That's the death knell. Burroughs goes back. It's a first row job.
But it counts, and we're tied at 1 for Aramis Ramirez. So Derrek Lee and Moises Alou, 10 home runs in the last 8 games plus for the Cubs. 1-1 your score. And the frustrating thing, I'm sure, for the pitching staff here in Philadelphia, there really isn't one place to pitch. 401 feet to center field is not overly large. You just have to hope you can keep the ball down, and he wasn't able to that time. In our division, everybody talks about Minute Maid Park, and justifiably so. The Crawford boxes are awfully shallow in left field, but you can pitch effectively to center and right. Here, where do you pitch?
You pitch in the infield.
Easier said than done. 2 balls, 2 strikes, especially if you're a fly ball staff, and the Phillies are that.
Well, you have to have one of two things. You can be a high fastball pitcher if you have an overpowering fastball. But if you're going to throw an average major league fastball, probably 92 or below, if you get it up above the belt consistently, it'll just go out of here.
Aramis down on strikes. First of the game for Myers. 1 away.
Derrek Lee continues his hot hitting against Brett Myers. And just like that, the Cubs have tied it at 1.
Michael Barrett hit safely in 10 of his last 11 games. Ball dances in nicely. 0-1 is your count. That's inside. 1-1 to the Cub catcher. Play. Well, we hope the fine Senior Vice President of Marketing and Broadcasting, John McDonough, is back home safely tonight. And the same for his lovely daughter, Colleen, who's been under the weather these last couple of days. And Colleen, we understand you're feeling a whole lot better and are resting back at home. We've been thinking about you and hope you're going to be in tip-top shape before too long. Popped up right side. Utley gives chase over toward the Philly dugout and will not have a play.
Well, we echo those sentiments, and a good play by Gene Kleins. Hit off the corner of the dugout and bounded right to him. So he makes a friend in the stands here in Philadelphia. Not much room in foul territory here. So they have designed themselves very much an offensive park.
The 1-2 pitch. Backs Michael up. Let's see if that sets up the outside corner for him. 330 down the right field line, 329 to left, although no one's quite certain if that's the truth or imagination. Missed inside to fill it up. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 369 to left, 385, just a little bit past that.
Well, you see where they moved the 369 sign. It was way over to the left.
That's why I was coughing. That's as big a myth as the Easter Bunny in these parts. 409 toward the angle out there. 401 to straightaway center. 398 to where the Phillies bullpen comes into play. Fly ball center field. Leday will backtrack. And he'll put that away for the second out. You mentioned the Phillies center field woes this year. They truly don't have a starting center fielder, and that's taking nothing away from either Leday or Doug Glanville, who's sharing time in center with that man.
Well, they thought Marlon Byrd was going to be the answer to all of their problems. And in spring training, he scuffled He's in AAA now. He's just not hitting the ball very well at all. And they've talked about trying to acquire a center fielder. The cost is going to be very high. And they don't have exactly a bucket full of prospects.
Pop up right side. Utley and Polanco will converge. It'll be Polanco. And after the Derrek Lee solo home run, Myers recovers to get out of the second inning. We're tied 1-1. Something you don't see too frequently. The substitute umpires replaced the regular umpires got here. And John Vukovic, the Phillies third base coach, explaining the ground rules to Joe West, who takes his place over at first base with Paul Emmel at second and Mike DeMuro umpiring over at third. So the three college umps in the inning and a half with a fine job done.
They did a great job. Had one call at second. Made the call easily.
Hard hit ball towards short. Alex knocks it down. Bell is retired. One out. Good play by Alex defensively. Hard hit ball retires the Phillies third baseman David Bell.
This was a one-hop rocket, and it got there so quickly that Alex knew if he stayed with it, David Bell, without great speed, had very little chance to beat it out, and he got him by plenty.
Bell signed a 4-year deal with the Phillies in time for last season, and it was a disastrous year for him. He hit a .195 in 85 games and got hurt. So he's trying to rebound nicely this year.
Ricky Leday in his young career has modeled a few uniforms. Was with Philadelphia last year. Not an overwhelming year at 247. This year he's hitting 290.
7 homers, 25 knocked in, playing center field for the 6th time in a starting role tonight. And the count evens a ball and a strike to Ricky Leday.
Larry Boa told us that in big ballparks he'll start Doug Glanville in center because he covers a lot of ground. This is a little smaller, and he figures comfortable with Leday because he likes the left-handed bat. And there's a look at Doug, former Cub first-round draft choice.
And he still owes us a book.
Well, that's true.
Last year we caught up to Doug in Milwaukee at one of the national book chains. He was packing up for a couple of days worth of reading. He had 7 or 8 very thick novels. 2-2. And that's a called third strike. Best breaking ball of the night for Kerry Wood. I remember last year, too, we had a spell Grudzolana contest among the Cubs team, and I think Glanville was the first and only guy to get it right on the first try.
Not surprising for a graduate of University of Pennsylvania. The breaking ball didn't do a whole lot, but it was in the zone, and it was enough to take care of Ricky Leday. Here's a guy who's really been slumping, Mike Lieberthal.
Any theories as to why?
Well, he was a power threat, and a few years back, he decided he would go to right field. I think the wear and tear of catching has hurt the legs somewhat, although he's hit 11 home runs. He hits the ball the opposite way a lot these days.
1-0 count. That ball pulled down the left field line. Trouble if it's fair. It is, and it is. Lieberthal with a bloop extra base hit. Has 19 doubles, and that'll bring up Myers with 2 outs.
Myers is a very good hitting pitcher. Lieberthal hit it in a perfect spot. It bounced right on the line. So the first call for Mike DeMuro since driving up from Baltimore. And he calls a double correctly.
Weather forecast throughout the weekend somewhat spotty. They're going to have scattered thunder showers around these parts for the next 48 hours. Let's hope we can get the games in uninterrupted. Only one trip to Philadelphia. They head to our ballpark 1 week from tonight. A 3-game series that will take us into the month of August. Good fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cubs have made an announcement as to who will pitch Sunday. And it will be Mark Pryor.
Really good news for all concerned. They wanted to see Mark Pryor and how he felt with another workout here this evening. Apparently he's just fine.
1-2 to the pitcher. 1-3 to the pitcher. Kerry Wood has his second strikeout. Phillies strand Lieberthal at second, and we're tied after 2. Cubs baseball on Cubsnet, brought to you by Budweiser. Grab a fresh, cold Budweiser. It's game time. 1-1 after 2, with Kerry Wood set to lead the proceedings off here in our third inning from Philadelphia. Land of cheesesteaks and tasty cakes. And yes, Scrapple too.
Looks like we might have caught a break so far because they were rained out in New York.
It's been a long day for the Braves. Talked to my dad this morning, and fine folks at the Grand Hyatt were testing the fire alarm system about 8 o'clock this morning.
Can never be too prepared,
That's
you know.
Exactly right. 0-2 the count to Kerry Wood. Boy, Myers sure has a big delivery, doesn't he? He's got appendages flying everywhere.
He starts with enough simplicity, and then it's a lot of knees and elbows and a lot of flying open. But he's got a great arm.
And he's got his second strikeout. 1 away, top of the Cub order. And if you're on the road for business or pleasure, don't miss a minute of the action. Take your favorite team on the road and watch games from your computer. Sign up for MLB.tv at Cubs.com, where baseball is always on.
Myers with just 2 full seasons in the major leagues, and he came into this year 4 games over 500. But a fairly high ERA that will get higher in this ballpark.
Walker drew a 4-pitch base on balls in the opening frame tonight. And that one shot into center field. Leday got a very good jump. 2 outs.
It's a little easier for a center fielder because of his angle to read the ball off the bat. And that's why a lot of guys will tell you that center field is probably the easiest field to play if you have speed.
We talked at length tonight about the cozy dimensions. One thing that they do try to help make fair, it seems to me there's a lot of foul ground here.
I don't think there's all that much. And when you consider maybe the new ballparks, I guess it's fairly standard. We saw some of the older ballparks, and it looked to me like when they built them before, they had some pitchers in mind. Now we've seen the new trend, except for the place in Detroit, which, by the way, they brought in the fences. The place in San Diego, which for left-hand hitters is very tough. Most of the new parks are offensive parks.
Popped up. Let's see if that one stays in fair ground. It appears it will. And Bell staggers. Well, it's 3 up, 3 down in our third inning. Still tied at 1. Announced that 2 Cubs have been suspended for their actions against the Cardinals. Carlos Zambrano suspended 5 games. LaTroy Hawkins 3 games by Major League Baseball. Both men in uniform. Both men available tonight. Both men appealing the length of those suspensions.
For a starting pitcher, what they want to do is get a suspension reduced by just 1 game, and then you won't miss a start. As far as LaTroy, right now that would be awfully tough for the Cubs to deal with, seeing as they're down to their second closer. So we'll have to see when they have their hearing.
And tonight's starter, Kerry Wood, still has a 5-game suspension to serve that was earned earlier this year. Remember when Kerry went on the disabled list, the Cubs had him take that suspension. That's a no-no. So apparently he still has 5 games owed to Major League Baseball. So that'll be a real dicey proposition for Kerry, Dusty Baker, Jim Hendry, Zambrano, and Hawkins to try to get those things taken care of. Hard hit ball towards second. Walker to his left, flips to first. And Rollins, who tripled and scored the first Philadelphia run, is retired, leading off the third. 1 up, 1 down for Polanco, who singled Rollins home. Like the Cubs, the Phillies have had their share of injuries. Cubs aren't going to give them a whole lot of sympathy, though. Grounded towards short. It stays down for Alex. Easy inning starting for Wood. 2 up, 2 down. They're without Vicente Padilla. Randy Wolf has had tendinitis. Billy Wagner had the sore groin. And what bothered Larry Bowa most was, unlike the Cubs, when their big guns went down, they didn't have a whole lot of depth to fill in around what was left and uninjured for them.
Talking with Jim Thome before the game, he said he would be available tomorrow. Just wanted to give that index finger 1 day after the cortisone shot. So this lineup without him is a good lineup. With him offensively, it's a great lineup. The question is, and that's what everybody's asking here in Philadelphia, will they be able to hold up in their pitching staff? The bullpen has been very good. Pretty impressive numbers. He leads the National League in home runs. He'll strike out, but he can reach the seats in any direction in this park or any park.
3-0 to Bobby Abreu. Pat Burrell waiting next.
I would think with Burrell slumping, they'd give him the 3-0 green light.
At the knees. 3 balls and a strike.
I would assume that Philly fanatic in that costume, when it gets wet, it must be very pleasant. Especially to the folks around him.
And Abreu's aboard. The pitcher out him to take a look at Burrell, who, as Steve said, has been slumping. What have you got against the fanatic?
I love the fanatic. He's a very green fellow. Good time for Kerry Wood to take a close look at Abreu. If the Phillies are ever going to run, here's the time to do it. They chose not to run with Abreu in the first inning. It cost them a double play and allowed Kerry to get out, giving up just 1 run.
You love to see big stolen base totals, but you like to see the percentage. He's running first move. Swing and a miss. The throw towards second is nowhere close. Abreu steals his 23rd bag in 24 tries. Joe Mauer of the Minnesota Twins, the only man to throw out Abreu trying to steal this year.
Picked a good pitch because it's a hard-breaking slider. Really no chance to get him. He got a very good jump. Not many guys that in this day and age of baseball can combine his defensive prowess with the power and the speed.
Hard hit ball toward third, off the glove of Ramirez, and everybody's safe.
John Vukovich, the third base coach, looking right at Abreu and pointed right here because the ball stayed in the infield. It was a difficult effort by Ramirez. We'll see how the official scorer wants to score that one. It was wide to his left. Play he probably should have made but didn't. And we'll see what happens. And it goes as a hit. Puts runners at the corners now for Chase Utley. We'll watch it again. He got there. The ball just hit the heel of the glove and bounded away.
So Utley hits. He hit into a double play last time up. The Phillies keeping up with their offensive character. Second in our league in on-base percentage. 4th in runs. 2nd in walks.
Larry Bowa was bemoaning the fact that hitting with runners in scoring position has been a tough thing for them.
Kerry Wood hopes to continue those struggles here in the third inning of a tie game, 1-1. Took a little off, and that's over the corner, 0-2.
With runners in scoring position, for a young player, respectable, but and bear in mind, you're looking at a guy that gets a chance to play off the bench not every day.
Line toward left, trouble. If it's fair, it's foul, however. And so Utley another swing here in the third inning before Kerry faces him with another 0-2 pitch. Let's quickly pause for station identification.
You're watching WCIU, Channel 26, The U.
Back in Philly, Kerry Wood with an 0-2 count coming up to Chase Utley. Hard hit ball towards short. That's bobble. Long throw. Lee the stretch. And that'll take care of Philadelphia in the third inning. No runs, one hit, two left. 1-1 your score.
Free to move about the country.
Gumbo? Oh, yeah. Here's how y'all go. Head down by the riverside. You'll see a giant bear eating a man. You go bump with it, bump. You see old dead stinking fish. Gonna be a dog there. Be foaming at the mouth. There y'all are.
Sometimes the road to adventure is paved. The 245 horsepower all-wheel drive Nissan Murano.
Forgot to warn about that hot sauce.
Why are you all covered up? You know I don't want to get sunburned.
Oh, that's my star. A flying.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago Cubs and may not be reproduced nor retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Chicago Cubs.
Lots of great features here at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. First, the Hall of Fame voice of the Phillies, Harry Callis. And there you see Harry the K's restaurant out in Ashburn Alley. And Ashburn Alley, of course, in memory of that man's longtime partner and the ever popular Richie Ashburn, who passed away several years ago and is still a beloved character in the lore of Philadelphia sports annals. One strike to count to Sosa, who lined out to third his first time up. There's Richie Ashburn's number one, Jim Bunning, Mike Schmidt.
They don't retire too many Senators numbers.
Grounded off Meyer's hand. Sosa hustling down the line will reach safely.
That's got to go as a base hit. It's been a tough play for Myers, and it is indeed a hit. Myers unhappy with himself. And well, he should be. He falls off the mound to the first base side, and that one was right to his glove side, but it was hit awfully hard.
That'll bring up Moises, who tapped back to the mound his first time up. 6-game hit streak for the Cubs left fielder here. Game tied 1-1. Cubs have 2 hits, Phillies 4. And that's downstairs. Good hitters background here, although not the green color you see in most major league parks, but the red bricks in straightaway center, somewhat reminiscent of the Tigers ballpark, Comerica Park in Motown. Good stop by Lieberthal to keep Sosa at first. Ball too low to Moises.
Pat Burrell doesn't cover all that much ground in left field.
He won't be able to cover that. Look at that ball explode off Alou's bat. Almost into the second deck in left. Cubs 3, Phillies 1.
Home run number 25. 62 runs batted in. And the Cubs, for the first time tonight, have the lead.
Good hitters hit pitchers' mistakes a long, long way. And the Cubs' booming bats continue.
A 2-0 high fastball. And Brett Myers got one too close to 2-0, and it went a long way.
So it's a 3-1 Cub game. Here's Derrek Lee. He homered as well in this series, reminiscent of what took place in San Diego when the Cubs played a long ball in the Padres' new playpen. Joe West says lead it and swing, and he's ahead 2-0.
This ballpark hasn't been a great Philly advantage, and it takes a while for a team moving into a new ballpark to understand the home field advantage. They're only 4 games over 500 at home.
Well, it really is a disadvantage for the first year, you'd think. They, like the opposition, has to adjust to the way it plays. You don't really know until you get into the ballpark.
Well, with 81 here, they should be able to adjust to it. It's just that if you have a high ball pitching staff, which they do, it's a tough place to play.
David Bell, good play off balance. Lee thought he earned the infield hit.
Well, he also was trying to help out Joe West. As he went across the bag, he put out his hands in the safe sign. He got turned around a bit in the batter's box. Good play by Bell. And he got it there just in time. This is a tough play. You see a motion to Joe West. That was safe.
Joe's been around long enough to make those calls by himself. Maybe Derek thought the college umps were still here and wanted to help the rookies out. No balls and a strike. When's he going to put out another country album? Can he do?
I don't know how many he has.
Foul pass third. 0-2.
Well, there's a few folks that think that Joe is so good he should do that full time.
True. That's over the outside corner. Called third strike. It's 3 in the game for Myers. 2 away. Bases clear.
This looked like a good fastball over the outside corner. Lieberthal sets up there. And it looked to be in the perfect spot.
Cub catcher Michael Barrett flying out to center his first time up. We'll keep an eye on the scoreboard, especially in St. Louis. The Giants are there tonight. They start a weekend series with Dustin Hermanson, a former Cardinal, against Jeff Suppan. The Giants beat the Cardinals 5 of 6 times last year.
That's a tough one to figure out, considering that the Cubs are 10 back of the Cardinals. And barring a complete collapse, it's going to be pretty tough to think about a division title. The Giants ahead of the Cubs in the wild card race, and the Cubs just 2 back coming into tonight's play. So you win, you're going to gain ground on one of them. And not being a math major, it seems to me a little bit easier to pick up 2 games than it does 10. And with San Diego atop with San Francisco between, you see the Cubs pretty much right there in the wild card.
And the bottom line is, when it comes to the postseason, just get in. Doesn't matter how, just that you do.
Especially if the starting pitching is healthy.
3 balls and a strike. Ground ball towards short. Jimmy Rollins will scoop that up. And the Moises Alou home run with Sammy Sosa aboard gives the Cubs a 2-run lead here in Philly.
Want more of a reason to get away this summer? Then get more at the Chrysler Summer.
David Bell 0 for 1 leads off the 4th inning. Kerry Wood has a 2-run lead. First pitch popped up right behind home plate. Michael Barrett will give chase, and he will run out of real estate.
After a slow start this year, David Bell is starting to hit the ball well. And the Phillies are very happy that he is, because they've got him for another 2.5 years. He is, however, one of the team leaders. 1 year ago, things for him were just awful.
Line center field right at Corey. A couple of steps to his left. And Ricky Leday will come to the plate. We'll remind you, Sunday, the Cubs are celebrating the 1984 National League East Championship season on August 1st. 1984 memorabilia, including authentic Mitchell and Ness jerseys from members of that 84 team, will be given away throughout the game. All-time saves leader Lee Smith will sing the 7th inning stretch as the Cubs take on these Phillies at 1:20 p.m.
We had a chance today, as you look at Greg Maddux, who whipped up a gem yesterday and got it in just before the raindrops, might I add, so he has an excellent sense of timing. Had a chance to go see the people from Mitchell and Ness today. That great promotion that John McDonough, the marketing department, and the Cubs have put on this year, and looked at a lot of the old-time baseball jerseys. It was just a wonderful place. Peter Capolino showed us some great old photographs. That's part of what has become his corporate offices. And they were very nice folks. Do a pretty good job down there. It's a very busy store. There's one of their amazingly popular Mitchell and Ness t-shirts.
3 balls and a strike. And that's off the plate, ball 4 to Leday. 3 walks for Kerry Wood, by the way, through 3 innings and 1/3. I never knew, Steve, there were so many Baltimore Oriole fans in this town.
Well, that was the strange part about it, because as I was standing there, 4 different folks came up and purchased a cap and had me sign it for them, but at first they had the wrong cap. They used the one with the bird on it.
The ornithologically correct bird.
And we had the one with the large bird head only when I played with them.
The smiling bird.
The very happy bird, yes.
Lieberthal yanks that ball out of play. No balls and a strike. So yes, we're real pleased with the Cubs association with Mitchell and Ness. And those of you visiting Chicago and watching our game tonight, look for it at a Major League ballpark near you next year. It has been a wildly popular promotion in Chicago. We just had Bill Buckner at the ballpark during our last homestand. And more Cub greats to follow. Over the outside corner, Lieberthal behind 0-2 and wonders about that call.
Well, Darren Spagnardi is calling the outside corner. Barrett wants it out there. And you know you're getting a couple inches outside. You might as well try to stay out there.
Leday leads from first, doesn't go, and the slider off the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pirates lead Cincinnati behind Oliver Perez tonight. That's 4-0. in the top of the 4th inning. Pittsburgh playing very good baseball. Montreal and the Marlins 1-1 bottom 4 at Olympic Stadium. Steve mentioned the Braves and Mets rained out. Milwaukee over Houston. Brewers finally score a run. They lead 1-0 in the first. Ground ball towards second. Walker flips to Alex, who glides across the bag. Beautiful double play. And that'll retire the side. Nothing happening in the Phillies 4th. The Bluebirds out early and often. 3-1 Cubs lead. Well, Stoney, so far the new ballpark has played up to its long ball surrendering reputation.
The Cubs have the lead, despite the fact the Phillies have out-hit them. But this is a very lively park, especially if you can pull the ball. All you have to do is hit it down the line of the power alleys. It seems to jet out of here.
So in the 5th inning, Alex Gonzalez will go to work first. Kerry Wood will follow him. He shows bunt, and he takes a strike.
Good defensive play by Walker and Gonzalez as they turn a pair. And Kerry Wood, who got off to a shaky start, has righted the ship. And he's got not a comfortable lead, but a lead nonetheless.
There's another shot left center field. Did he get enough of that one? He didn't. It's off the top of the wall. Alex on his way to second. The throw comes in, and it's offline. He missed a home run, slides in with a double, and a good start to the Cub 5th.
Ricky Leday did a nice job of playing the carom, not getting trapped in too close to the wall, and he made it very close at second base. Myers hangs a curveball, and he thinks it's got a chance to go out. Now, Burrow's not going to get anywhere close, but Leday right there, and this is close.
9 doubles for Alex. Let's see if Kerry can lay down the bunts. Fouled out of play. Strike 1, your count.
Good short hop by Polanco, but he can't get the tag in time. Paul Emmel with a correct call at second.
Popped up. Back to the pitcher. Wood can't get the sacrifice down. Runner at second with 1 out.
Wood trying for his 3rd sacrifice of the year. Makes a bad bunt. This ball is face high. You really have to lay off it. There's very little chance to get this one on the ground up there. And Kerry not very happy with himself.
Todd Walker has walked and lined out to center. Well, what a slick double play combination Walker and Alex Gonzalez were a moment ago. Breaking ball, bounce toward Polanco. He stumbles, recovers, and gets his man by a step.
Well, that lack of being able to put down the bunt cost a run, because even with the infield in, that ball would have been a base hit if they were playing in close. The fact that he was able to stay back gave him a good angle. And Polanco, very good fielder, able to right himself and get the throw off.
Remember, the Cubs with a 3-1 lead, but this is not a place where you feel comfortable with a lead of less than 4 or 5.
Let's see if Corey can pick up the run with Alex 90 feet away.
Alex 90 feet away, and it's backing out of play for a strike.
Mike Lieberthal gets a wake-up call. That's the delightful part of that job.
Nothing in 1 to Corey Patterson. That is a fair ball. Corey doesn't run.
That wasn't too good.
Let the umpires umpire. Corey's easily tagged out at the plate. Cubs get a leadoff double and fail to score in the 5th inning. Let's hope this doesn't come back to cost us in a bandbox ballpark. Cubs lead at 3-1, middle of the 5th. Rollins and Polanco up for the Phillies. Cubs lead 3-1. Had a chance to add another run a moment ago. Could not take advantage of an Alex Gonzalez leadoff double. Let's see if Kerry can navigate his way through without any difficulty, and there's a good start. 1 up, 1 man down. Time now to have a ball with the Illinois Lottery moment. The Illinois Lottery celebrating its 30th anniversary, and the Fanstormers here at Citizens Bank Park.
Look at that Pete Toma hairdo and the Doug Glanville jersey, and that's a good-looking puppet.
I'm speechless. Here's Rollins. He's tripled, scored, and grounded out. Pete should be pretty happy you call what he's got sprouting hair. One ball, one strike. Chris Capuano and Roger Clemens hooking up down in Houston tonight. And the Brewers have the 1-run lead. Brewers ran into the buzzsaw in St. Louis. Cardinals beat them 1-0 and 4-0 in Milwaukee in that series. Had 1 extra base hit, and that was by a pitcher.
A very surprising Cardinal pitching. And although we saw a whole lot of their offense, they've built themselves a very comfortable lead at this point.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And back to the screen by Rollins. Same 2 teams tomorrow afternoon. It'll be on at 2 o'clock Chicago time on the Fox television network. Zambrano and Abbott will go to work. Popped up left side. That'll reach the seats.
Rollins came through the Philadelphia farm system as a 2nd-round draft choice. And that's been one of the problems recently. They haven't quite developed as much talent as they would like. A lot of folks figure that Ed Wade will have to make a deal before the deadline. They won 90 games last year, and a lot of people felt with some pretty good additions to this year's team that this team was capable of winning 95. But not the way it is right now. They need a little help. And right now the division is right there for the taking. Depends on who's going to take the next step forward. And that might be decided by 4 o'clock Eastern time on the 31st of July.
4th walk of the game for Wood puts Rollins aboard in front of Placido Polanco. You mentioned a modified pitch count for Kerry. He's at 70 right now.
Well, I would think that they'd like to get 90 to 95 tonight out of him. Dusty wouldn't be specific as to what it will be. Again, with a power pitcher and a guy that doesn't have a Maddox-like approach, who says, I'm going to sink it, you hit the first pitch. Pitches pile up in a hurry. And it pretty much, and we were talking about it, pretty much depends when you're going to call your pitch out, because you know Rollins is going to be going. They chose the first pitch, and Rollins stayed right there.
He's 18 out of 22 in stolen base attempts. And he measures off a real good lead at first. 3-1 Cub lead. 1-0 count, no movement. It's ball too low.
Well, if you decide you want to run, this is a good pitch. Now, the boys in the dugout called a 2-0 pitch out in the ball game yesterday. Something that you might see once or twice an entire season.
Rollins another quarter step on that lead. Kerry checks him. He's not going. And the pitch rifled out of play. 2 balls and a strike.
Michael Barrett wants to know if perhaps on 2-1 you want to pitch out. It is the best pitch to use the hit and run.
They chase him back to first. Big series in Boston tonight, and the Red Sox are beating the Yankees 4-2. 9 games left between the Yankees and Boston, including tonight's extravaganza at Fenway. Boston 8.5 back. Out of play. 2-2. Kurt Schilling, John Lieber, the pitchers in that ball game tonight at Fenway Park.
It's going to be a busy weekend there. You've got the always calm, peaceful Yankee Red Sox renewal, and I think the Democrats are meeting there also, aren't they?
I think so.
Yeah, it should be fairly congested.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And back to first, close play.
You can tell by Kerry's hat that 87% humidity.
Little ground ball right side and through around second. Rollins, he'll make it without a throw.
Good piece of hitting by Polanco. With Derrek Lee having to hold Rollins close at first, there was a little room to ease the ball through on the right side. He takes this one right off the ground. That's a very good pitch by Kerry Wood. A very bad result. So runners at the corners for the best hitter in the Phillies lineup tonight, and maybe every night, Bobby Abreu,
who's walked twice, has been stranded, and also stole a base. First and third, 1 out. Tying runs on for the Phillies.
By the way, 78 of those walks to Bonds are of the intentional variety, an all-time record that he adds to with every passing day.
What's remarkable is who's in second and by how wide a margin in the intentional walk category.
Tomey's in second. He's walked 19 times. Unbelievable.
Abreu down, a quick strike to Kerry Wood. Chokes up on that bat. And fouls it back for strike 2.
Old friend John Vukovich down at third base, flashing the signs. He's been a fixture here for many a day. And you always know when the Phillies are coming to Chicago because John McDonough gets a call from John Vukovich about tickets.
No balls, 2 strikes. And Abreu swings at a ball in the dirt. Barrett has no play as Polanco wisely moves up 90 feet. 2 outs, however, and here's Burrell.
That was a big strikeout for Kerry Wood. And even if Michael Barrett decided he wanted to throw it, Bobby Abreu was right there. And Michael couldn't let it go. Does a good job of stopping it, making sure the run doesn't score, and not much you can do after that.
Infield hit for Burrell in 2 tries tonight. This again an area where the Phillies at times have really struggled, hitting with men in scoring position. And on that play, moving Polanco to second, he is credited with his 3rd stolen base.
I don't understand that, seeing as he wasn't running.
And the ball was in the dirt.
The ball was in the dirt. I'm sure he'll take it, and if he wins the stolen base crown, that will be a big play.
Held high strike. Burrell backing away. Evens up the count, 1-1.
Well, despite all of the struggles of Pat Burrell, one guy he's had success with is Kerry Wood. That's a hanging slider, and somehow he gets a strike call.
Totally different at bat now. A ball and a strike. Second and third, 2 outs. Cubs by a 3-1 score. High fly ball. Kerry will be out of the 5th inning if Sosa catches it.
Apparently they're calling Pat Burrell moose.
I don't think so. We're heading to the 6th. 3-1 the lead. reminder for you, WGN Baseball in high def, available for our Chicago area audience only. There's your score. There's Sammy Sosa. And there's a fastball off the plate. 2 balls, no strikes here in the 6th inning. Sammy, an infield hit. Alou followed that up with a towering home run into left field.
Sammy always had the 3-0 green light, and every time Myers has fallen behind, he's gotten hurt. Pretty good numbers.
Popped up behind the plate. Lieberthal on the warning track. And Sosa now 4 for 5 on a 3-0 count.
Well, 800 still not bad. This is a major league pop-up. Lieberthal able to stay right with it.
Moises Alou's first career hit against Myers went about 400 feet to left. This one rolled foul past Wendell Kim, who sidesteps the ground ball.
Capacity here, 43,500. Not quite a sellout tonight. Or if it is, the weather kept them away.
Might be a little of both. It was just horrible weather-wise here in Philadelphia around 4 o'clock today.
But making only one trip into a city, they were planning if this one was rained out, and it's an official game now. They have to play a split doubleheader on Sunday.
That a prospect neither team relished. The Cubs were making preparations to head to Milwaukee for a Monday night game. The Phillies have a long flight ahead of them down to South Florida at a critical game for them as far as their division hopes are concerned. So again, thankfully, Mother Nature's cooperated to this point. 2 balls and a strike to the Cubs left fielder. And he works it to a 3-1 count. Pirates over the Reds 6-2 now in the 4th inning. Montreal beating the Marlins 2-1 5th inning. No score, Giants and St. Louis.
It's one of the few straight changes that Myers has thrown tonight. He threw it on the fastball count of 3-1.
Payoff pitch. Fisted towards short. Rollins to his right, fumbles for a moment, still has plenty of time. 2 out. Don't know if it was the hop or a little leaky leather there for Rollins, but no problems. He takes care of Alou. 2 outs.
They've been very sure-handed in the middle infield. And that's the one thing that's helped keep the Phillies afloat. They spent a lot of money. And Kevin Millwood has a chance to be a free agent. Eric Milton with a chance to be a free agent. And that's their 1 and 2 in the starting rotation.
Wonder if they can keep both of them.
Well, don't forget they spent an awful lot of money on Jim Thome. But increased revenue in a brand new ballpark.
2-0 count. Now it's 3-0 to Derrek Lee with Aramis Ramirez waiting next. There's Mr. Thome.
The big bat out of the lineup tonight. This is exactly when you want to play the Phillies, when he's not playing.
And 4 straight sends Lee to first. A 2-out walk. Let's see if Ramirez can make him pay for that transgression. Aramis has struck out twice.
The bullpen's starting to stir for the first time for Philadelphia as they're starting to move around down there.
Chopper toward the hole. Bell gives ground, flips to second in time, and that forces Derrek Lee. We're in the middle of the 6th inning. 3-1. Cubs have the lead. Chase Utley leads off the bottom of the 6th inning for the Phillies. They trail by a 3-1 score. Well, I'm sure our producer Pete Thomas enjoyed our first visit back to Philadelphia in over a year. This is his hometown.
It's really nice to take a look out and see those Philly uniforms and not see the artificial surface on the field.
Right through there for Chase Utley. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's one of the famous Philly cheesesteak places.
And a source of great debate. Is Pat's steaks better than Gino's steaks? No swing. Utley stays alive. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, it's really hard to say because I never get the true appreciation of the Philly cheesesteak, not being able to eat cheese.
Right.
So for me, it's just a Philly steak. And I prefer Gibson's or Grant DePorter's place.
Grant's quite a cook. 2 balls and a strike. Out of play foul. 2-2.
Outfield straight away. And in this ballpark, just about everything is deep. Utley hasn't had the ball out of the infield, but he loves low fastballs.
2-2. Bell and Leday will follow Utley, we hope. Right down the middle. Utley was frozen in place. And it's 4 strikeouts for Kerry Wood tonight.
That was one of the better efforts by Kerry. It wasn't only the location, but the velocity, as he surprises him with a slider. And it's not the biggest breaking slider we've seen from Kerry Wood, but when you've got a 94, 95 mile an hour fastball, anything with a little rotation is going to make it awfully tough. He's at the 87 pitch mark. This might be the last inning we'll see him. He was really on the ropes in the first inning. A triple, a single, a walk, and got out of that first inning yielding just the 1 run. So a nice job as a potent offense has come roaring back behind Kerry Wood.
Grounded foul past John Vukovic. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It was really nice to talk with Vuk before the game today. He's had some physical problems over the last few years. He's 100%. And certainly 100% Philly. They do appreciate him in this town. And I would assume he'll be here as long as he wants to be.
And he's been awfully lonely over at third base tonight. That's just the way the Cubs like it. 1-2, the count to Bell.
Well, the defense has turned a couple of double plays behind Kerry Wood, who's, when he's not striking them out, throwing some ground balls.
It's even at 2-2.
The Bell family, a lot like the Boone family, with a great heritage of players. Of course, you know of Buddy Bell and Gus Bell, the father, and Albert Bell, for that matter.
They didn't make the Liberty Bell, did they? I know their family goes back a long way.
A long way. You know, that's actually what we should do tomorrow.
Can't, it's broken.
Independence Hall open.
2-2. Out of play.
A lot of history here, you know.
Really?
Just a little, yeah. Could take a tour. Preparation for the WGN broadcast on Sunday.
You can never be too prepared for it. A Sunday afternoon in the city of brotherly love. Now the 2-2 pitch. That's out of play to the right side. It is a great city here in Philly. You're right about Independence Hall. It's fun to walk through those old cobblestone streets and look at the brownstones and walk in the footsteps of Benjamin Franklin, perhaps.
With Kerry Wood due up third in the 7th, you figure this just might be it for him.
Took a little off, and Bell looking for anything but a slow breaking ball. 5 strikeouts and 2 outs in the Phillies' 6th.
That one dropped over the inside corner, and the knees buckle ever so slightly, and David Bell has a seat and an 0 for 3 night so far.
Day has struck out and walked. A ball downstairs. What a night for Kerry Wood. 17 innings, 18 strikeouts, 3 earned runs since coming back from the triceps problem.
Well, he's shown no ill effects from that injury. And with each successive outing, they're stretching him out a little bit more. Managers will tell you, in fact, whether it's Dusty Baker or Larry Boa, if the bullpen leaves you with 12 outs to go, it's going to be some tough matchups. If they can leave you with 5 or 6 outs to go, especially with 12 pitchers in the Cubs, you have some good matchups.
And for the Phillies, that's been one of the biggest problems. They've worked the 2nd most innings by any National League bullpen this year.
Well, this is 100 pitches. That's why we believe that Kerry will be taken down for a pinch hitter.
2-2 now. Did not swing. Full count. The pitch of decision. He swings and misses. Big pat on the back for Kerry Wood, who has been scintillating since his stint on the disabled list. He has a lead through 6. And the Cub bullpen gets busy as he's over the 100 pitch mark tonight. A laser beam hit foul by Michael Barrett for a strike.
I think you saw Kerry Wood, and I think he told Larry Rothschild, I feel real good right now. But I also believe that it'll be John Lester coming in for him. We'll have to see what happens.
Barrett takes another strike. Thursday, August 12th. You don't want to miss that. The first 20,000 fans at Wrigley get a scratch and win card. 100 random winners. We'll get a majestic 2004 Kerry Wood road jersey, compliments of Pepsi. Fans are encouraged to hold on to their cards for second chance drawings throughout the game. There's no purchase necessary, and for complete rules, visit Cubs.com. Rolled to the right side. Utley will feed his pitcher, who does his job nicely. 1 up, 1 down in the top of the 7th.
The longer the throw, the more difficult it is to underhand, because you have a tendency to keep it up high, and all you ask is there's a little something on it and get it there at least a couple of steps before the bag. Utley does it well, and bear in mind, this is a guy who's a second baseman by trade, just filling in for one night for Jim Thome. The Cubs will have to deal with him tomorrow.
Alex has popped out and has doubled. And a big swing and a miss. Yankees creep closer in Boston. 4-3 the score in the 6th. KC and Cleveland tied 2-2 in the 7th. That Indians team's going to be a fun one to watch. They're 6 out at the moment. They've got some young hitters to keep an eye on, most notably their catcher, Victor Martinez.
Anytime you can get a switch-hitting catcher with power from both sides, that's a guy you have to like. So Tom Goodwin will pinch hit.
A high pop behind first. Long run Polanco. Long run Utley. He overruns it and can't come up.
Real tough play for a first baseman. An easier play for a second baseman. But Utley has more speed than Polanco. And getting to the ball more quickly. Neither could put it away.
He's lucky that didn't hit him in the head.
Well, that would have been a real tough catch.
Great effort, though, for Utley. No play. No damage for Alex. Still an 0-2 count with the bases empty in this 7th. Popped him up. Rollins deep at short. 2 outs. Here's Tom Goodwin. Fine night for Kerry Wood tonight. 6 innings, 1 earned run. 5 hits, 4 walks, and he struck out 6. Myers has made 2 mistakes tonight. Other than that, Steve, he's pitched a pretty representative game for the Phillies tonight.
I think they have to be happy with this performance because the last 4 yielded a 10+ ERA.
Giants have scored in St. Louis. They lead Jeff Suppan 1-0 in the 4th. A Cub win here, a Cardinal loss there, trims the deficit to single digits at 9 in the divisional race. Three balls and a strike.
Myers is due up second in the 7th inning. This probably will be his last inning.
That's toward the left center field gap, and that'll drop in front of Ledet. His momentum carrying him toward the wall. Goodwin tries to stretch it and makes it. Ball beat runner. Polanco the tag. He'll argue, and Goodwin safely aboard with a 2-out double.
The ball beat him, but it didn't look like the tag beat him. I thought Polanco was a little casual with the tag, and Tom Goodwin just beat the play. We'll slow it down and get a slower look than Paul Emmel. But I think he made the correct call. To me, like his foot might have gotten there before the tag. And the Cubs get the benefit of the call, much to the dismay of Jimmy Rollins and Brett Myers. This is a big run to pick up.
Let one slip through our fingers in the 5th inning. Kerry Wood has made the lead stand up. Now let's see if Walker can come through with a 2-out safety.
Ledet has made a couple of good throws. But you see a long way to go with the tag, and to me, like the foot got in just an eyelash ahead of that tag.
Looked like the heel of Tom Goodwin skipped the ground before it touched the bag, and that might have thrown off the timing for Polanco. Bang, bang play goes the Cubs' way. Another pinch hit for the Cubs bench crew. And Walker hits here in the 7th inning. Toward first. Utley will make the play, and it's time to stretch in Philadelphia. Cubs by a pair.
Very nice.
A version of our Budweiser Game Time fan cam tonight. And here's a guy that's had plenty of hop to his step. John Lester's just throwing the ball brilliantly all year for the Cubs.
This is his 2nd go-round. Just back from the minor leagues, and Lester on for the 9th time. A 2-0 mark, an ERA 2.63.
Down the right field line, Sammy will give chase, but it's into the seats. And Mike Lieberthal has an even count. Anytime you play these guys, it's a good idea to try to take Billy Wagner out of the picture. He's their ace closer.
Well, they're going to take Brett Myers out of the picture as Mike Remlinger starts throwing in the pen.
And Tomas Perez is on deck for the Phillies. Ball and a strike to Mike Lieberthal. Again out of play.
Perez has been one of their best men off the bench at 5 for 12 with a home run in the pinch. They've had a pretty good run at it as pinch hitters. Not quite as good as the Cubs, however.
Down on strikes is Lieberthal. That was a nasty pitch from John Lester. One up, one down.
And now with nobody on, it looks like Perez is going back. That had a lot of sink to it as it moved down and in. And Lieberthal no match for that one. Jason Michaels now coming on to pinch hit. They're going to probably save Perez for a situation where he can very much factor in what Larry Bowa hopes is a comeback.
And the Phillies have 30 comeback wins this year. So they've got some thunder left in this lineup, on that bench, and especially so in this ballpark. Cubs just enough offense tonight, leading 3-1. Myers 0-4 with a 10-point ERA in his last 5 starts. Allowed 3 runs, 5 hits, home runs to Lee and Alou. Line drive right field. Michaels has a pinch hit. Broken bat single sets it up for Rollins and company. And before the top of the order comes up, let's pause for station identification.
You're watching WCIU, Channel 26, The U.
Back in Philadelphia. Here's Rollins. He's tripled, grounded out, and walked. Phillies have left 6 men on base. Grounded toward first. Derrek Lee's got one maybe, and the throw off target. Alex Gonzalez, a heck of a stretch out at second, forces Michaels for out number 2.
That's the first time we've seen Derrek Lee throw one off the mark. And Alex did a great job of making sure that one didn't wind up in left field. He's got a good angle. Great effort by Gonzalez. You don't think about 2. Just happy to get away with 1.
Polanco has 2 of the Phillies' 6 hits and has their lone run batted in. As Steve alluded earlier, they had a chance to put a crooked number on the board in the first against Kerry Wood and didn't.
The Cubs have to get out of this inning without facing Abreu. To do that, you have to retire Polanco. And that most likely is why Remlinger is throwing in the pen.
That ball is low. 1 ball, no strikes to Placido Polanco.
In the absence of Jim Thome tonight, Bobby Abreu, by far the most dangerous man in this Philly lineup.
Down and in. Dangerous count coming up now. 2 balls, no strikes.
Well, in this ballpark, even Polanco is dangerous. And now that he's in a great hitter's count, I think Michael Barrett is going out there to talk with John Lester and make sure that he doesn't allow Polanco to pull this pitch, because those are awfully inviting alleys and down the line and left. So with with Darren Spagnardi going out to the mound to break it up. Michael Barrett has had his say. He's become a pretty good leader as far as the everyday lineup is concerned.
2 balls, no strikes. And that leadership quality's got to be a little tough for a young player coming to a new team for the first time. And a team with so much nationwide publicity and so much nationwide expectation. Popped up. Lester should get out of this 7th inning. The Phillies' offensive woes continue tonight. No runs, a hit, a man left. 80 pounds, and all he's done is get people out this year.
Well, 21 straight scoreless innings. 3rd longest rookie streak in Philly history. He's had 1 spot start. That one didn't work out very well. It was against the White Sox. Gave up 6 runs in 2/3 of an inning. But out of the bullpen, it's been something else. He's got a knuckle curveball. His changeup is his best pitch. He'll throw it at any time. He's got good movement and throws in the low 90s. And they're very happy with his progress out of the pen.
And it's been a long time since a relief pitcher's had the kind of run that Steve just mentioned. George McQuillan, a 25-inning scoreless streak in 1907. Hall of Famer Grover Cleveland Alexander in 1911 went nearly 42 innings without giving up a run out of the bullpen.
Of course, as we know, that was the dead ball era. And it had to be a bigger park than this. And I don't even know where they played.
He played here in Philadelphia, man. Baker Bowl, Shibe Park, Connie Mack Stadium.
Well, the Baker Bowl had that short porch behind home plate.
One ball, 1 strike to Corey Patterson. And that's foul back. Corey, Sammy Sosa, and Moises Alou. The ball does fly out of here, but not much offense. Just 11 total hits. That one might be number 12. Abreu won't get to that. That'll 2-hop the fence, and he'll have to dig it out. Patterson with a leadoff 8th inning double. So in 3 of the last 4 innings, the Cubs have had a 2-base hit. Let's see if they can score that big insurance run here.
And that's the changeup, and Corey Patterson kept his hands back and drilled it down the line. No chance at all for Abreu to think about getting Corey Patterson. Now Sammy's going to get his first look at a promising young pitcher, but a guy who keeps the ball down, which is right into the sweet spot of Sosa.
5 extra base hits for the Cubs tonight. At the very least, Sammy's got to get Patterson to 3rd base here. He's lined out, popped out, and has an infield hit. Good stop to save a base by Lieberthal. Ray Durham's just homered for the Giants. They lead 3-0 in St. Louis. Cardinals do not have a hit.
This is a good effort by Lieberthal.
Sammy wasn't sure. A ball and a strike.
Well, Sammy was sure. He was sure it was low. And from that side angle, it even looked low that way.
That's a rarity. 1 ball, 1 strike. High fly ball hammered center field real deep. Leday back, track, wall, and Sosa goes deep off the brick hitter's background.
Well, we told you about a low ball pitcher and a low ball hitter, and the 40th different park that Sammy's hit a home run. And that was a no-doubter. Gives the Cubs a little breathing room. And Joe Kerrigan now, with the scoreless streak by the books for Madsen, goes out to have a word with the youngster.
The Cubs have been scoring about 80% of their runs of late via the home run. And the even better news is, Steve, there have been a lot of men on when they've unloaded. Twice tonight, the Cubs have hit a 2-run homer, and it's a 5-1 Chicago lead. So Madsen gives up a pair here in the 8th inning, and no swing for Moises Alou.
Number 558 for Sammy Sosa, who puts another park and another pitcher in the book.
It's a pretty thick book. Two balls, one strike. Colorado visits Arizona later on tonight. It's a lost year for the Diamondbacks. They're in their second 11-game losing streak of the season.
Well, everybody keeps saying that they're going to start moving some players. Steve Finley, probably the first on the list, but there's a few teams vying for his services, among them these Phillies. Of course, San Diego also interested in him. And so far, the buyers outnumber the sellers because there's a lot of teams still in either wild card or divisional races. Remlinger and Farnsworth throwing in the two-tiered bullpen here in Philadelphia.
Blind past Rollins. Hard hit ball for Alou. He's got 2 hits. So the bats of this Cub middle of the order really getting hot at the same time in the last week.
Well, they're doing what they've done all year, and that's hit the ball out of the ballpark. Another 3 tonight, padding their lead as the most powerful club in the National League.
And that'll bring up Derrek Lee. His solo shot in the second tied it up. Swing and a miss. By the way, how about Vinny Castilla of Colorado? 78 RBIs for that guy.
He's always loved to play in Colorado, and it took going back there to rejuvenate what was, for a couple of years, a career on the decline.
Stops in Houston, Atlanta, back to Colorado now. Brief stop in Tampa Bay in between.
But you'd have to believe that Dan O'Dowd would be making some deals if he possibly could.
Larry Walker's name has come up. You'd mentioned Sean Estes, perhaps. He's a 10-game winner.
And I think they would even consider moving Sean Chacon, who's the closer of that team, who was a starter last year. That's going to be interesting, and the next week we'll tell the tale as to just how many teams will try to unload. Roberto Hernandez throwing into Philly pen that's been, by and large, pretty good.
2-strike pitch, hit high in the air, shallow center field, playable for Leday. 1 man down. There was a trade yesterday, a minor one. Florida traded left-handed pitcher Darren Oliver to Houston for cash or a player to be named later. Houston had just Mike Gallo in their bullpen. Now they'll add Darren Oliver out there. Here's Ramirez. He'll try to get in on the fun hitting-wise. He's 0 for 3.
Well, this is a sellout, despite the fact that they didn't all show up. Seventh consecutive sellout.
29th in total. Ground ball. Polanco scoops, flips to Rollins. Good double play. Brilliantly executed. But Sammy Sosa hits a 2-run home run off the base of the brick hitters.
With 6 outs to go and no Tomey.
Here's Abreu. Burrell and Utley will follow him. Abreu has walked twice, stolen a base, and struck out in the Phillies' 5th. Lester went an inning with 1 hit, 1 strikeout. So he continued his good work out of the Cub pen. And now Mike Remlinger with a 4-run lead will try to set him down in the 8th.
Just in case Kyle Farnsworth is continuing to throw in the Cub bullpen.
Fly ball center field. Patterson broke in. Now charges back. Good speed, good play. Goodbye, Abreu. 1 out. Here's Burrell.
Well, Corey signaled like he might not have picked this ball up right away. And bear in mind, it's brand new sight lines. It's not easy in a new ballpark. But Corey, good enough center fielder with enough speed to outrun just about anything if it stays in the park.
Burrell's flied to right twice in run scoring situations for the Phillies this evening. In the 1st inning, with men at 1st and 2nd, he stranded Polanco and Abreu. Then in the 5th inning, stranded Rollins and Polanco.
Well, the 5th inning at bat was particularly damaging as far as the Phillies were concerned. And the fans here, known as being among the most patient in baseball, let him know it.
Yeah, this wouldn't be a good town to play in if you have a thin skin. 1 ball, 1 strike. We asked Larry Boa about that before the game. I mean, this is a spot where every move from a baseball standpoint is going to be investigated, dissected, talked about, chewed on day in, day out. Certainly with the team they feel they put together on paper, even the manager is going to suffer a greater deal of scrutiny than in most cities.
Larry played here a long time. He knew all about it. He said it just comes with the territory. And looking at his team that won 90 games last year, he figured with the additions they made and the added power and the offense that they had, he thought this team was in line to win 95 games this year. And every manager projects ahead as to what his rotation will do. Last year he had 4 starters go over 200 innings. That took the pressure off the bullpen, made everybody more effective. And this year they added Billy Wagner, Eric Milton. It hasn't worked out that way so far. It hasn't been a bad team, just another one of those teams that hasn't lived up to expectations. And with the East really up for grabs, the Phillies have yet to hit their stride.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Burrell stays alive here. Well, looking into the month of August, Phillies have a lot of games against the Central left. But it'll all come down to September and October. Atlanta, Mets, Montreal, and Florida. In fact, they finished the year with the Marlins here October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Unlike the Cubs, who don't see 5 or 6 weeks. Full count pitch. Mike thought that. Chilling out of the game in Boston. They lead now 7-4. White Sox and Tigers tied 4-4 in the 4th. Detroit, another team that will face a critical decision from their general manager, Dave Dombrowski. Are they going to be buyers? Are they going to be sellers? Or are they going to be stand-patters? This is a team that lost 119 games last year. Might be a tough sell if they unload some of their key veteran guys as they try to get back to 500 this season.
Just depends on the guys they identify as building blocks and guys they just as soon move out. Utley against left-handers has had a real tough time of it.
To him at a ball and a strike. Chris Capuano of Milwaukee still outdueling Roger Clemens in the 5th inning now at Minute Maid Park. Brewers lead 1-0. Giants still lead St. Louis 3-0 over Jeff Suppan. Look out. Fly ball left center field. Moises is there for out number 2.
That ball started to take off. And you see very few loopers in this ballpark. The ball just seems to keep on going. And Utley took this ball a long way to the opposite field.
Here's Bell. He's 0 for 3. It's runner at first. There's the good time granted. Looking ahead to inning number 9, Barrett, Gonzalez, and then Mike Remlinger's spot due for the Cubs. Game 2 here tomorrow on Fox. Zambrano against Abbott. Steve and I will be back on WGN for the series wrap-up Sunday at 12:30. Mark Pryor against Eric Miller. Ricky Leday's waiting on deck.
And Ricky Leday has had a pretty good matchup with Remlinger, much better than Bell. They just as soon not put him on ahead of Leday.
Popped up. Will it stay in play? Barrett and Ramirez near the Cub dugout. Michael at the on-deck circle. Runner goes. And he struck him out. Tipped and caught by...
They probably could use a little more offense. And you know they can afford it. The question is with their farm system, what they're going to do, and they're not going to give up their kid first baseman. So
David Wright
you can take that off the table.
Atlanta.
Atlanta's
By Sosa, Alou, and Derrek Lee. The Cubs 3, 4, 5 men. And Farnsworth in an on-save situation will face Leday, Lieberthal, and then a Philly pinch hitter.
Kyle on for the 50th time. The first member of the bullpen to hit the big 5-0. 3-3 with a 3.33 ERA.
Bushman on their home field. Hermanson, as we know, the second best pitcher in the history of Kent State University.
First being Paul Ossenmacher.
No. That's in for a strike. And the last time the Cardinals were shut out, June 29th, Sean Burnett of the Pirates combined with a handful of relievers to turn that trick. So the Giants, who beat up on St. Louis last year, are beating them tonight. And as Steve mentioned, it is kind of a pick your poison scenario. Cubs need to pass both the Giants and Padres in the wild card, or come back from 10 down to surpass St. Louis. As long as you're gaining ground on somebody, I guess it doesn't matter at this point. One out in the 9th inning. Good pitch by Farnsworth. Freezes Leday.
Only thing the Cubs can control is winning a game on a daily basis. And Farnsworth shaves off the inside corner. And 2 outs to get.
That looked like a Maddox pitch. You see that thing back up?
Had some good movement back over the inside corner of the plate.
Here's Lieberthal. He's doubled, hit into a double play, and has struck out.
I think that's Perez in the on-deck circle.
He came out earlier, you might recall, but Jason Michaels hit instead for Myers that frame. Kerry Wood in line to win his 5th. Myers will fall to 0-5 in his last 6 outings. And 5-8 overall, although he pitched much better than he had in his previous 4 losses. That's cold comfort for him and for the Phillies, who had a chance to grab the division lead in the East. Ground ball. That's through for Lieberthal. He's 2 for 4.
Work off the bench. He's been their most successful pinch hitter.
Every time Aramis dives to his left, you kind of have to hold your breath. And he's coming back from that groin problem. No ill effects, it would appear, on that play, but until he's another week or so into his recovery, Cubs will have to keep a close eye on him. High pop left side. He'll give chase and won't have a play. Wonder if Tomey can pinch hit tonight, in case Perez and company can keep it alive. Tomey took a cortisone injection to a finger. The plan was to give him tonight off if at all possible and have him ready to go for Saturday and Sunday's games. You know he'll be ready to hit at Wrigley Field next weekend when we host these guys.
Well, you would think the spot would be Polanco's spot, the second spot in the batting order, but there's a couple hitters to go. Interior defense in the Cub infield has been good tonight.
Called third, inside corner. Perez backing out of the way. That's the pitch that got Leday looking. It gets Perez two out.
Now Farnsworth heats him up inside. Another ball that moves over the plate just below the logo. Pretty good pitch.
I don't know if Greg Maddux is tutoring Farnsworth on how to throw that pitch, but as I said at the time, looks an awful lot like a Greg Maddux moving pitch. Not the same velocity, but the same movement.
Well, we haven't seen Kyle do that this year, and he's frozen two left-handers.
Another weapon to add to his arsenal as Rollins stands in. He's reached base 3 times and has scored the only Philadelphia run. That came in the first inning of play. The Phillies averaging 5 runs a game, held to 1 tonight. Cubs have struck out 10 in 8 2/3.
Well, this is where even though Lieberthal doesn't run well, they're giving him second base. And with Rollins, a good runner.
Take away the force. They didn't, and the Cubs take advantage.
I got to tell you, if that play would have had to been made to first base, it would have been a whole lot tougher than being made to second. As it turns out, the Cubs just dominate the Phillies on their home turf. And they like this ballpark a whole lot better than the artificial surface of the old vet.
Cubs christen it with a 5-1 win. The booming bats paid dividends tonight, and perhaps ground to be gained in the division and the wild card. We'll talk about that and more as we return on Cubs Net in a moment.
The Bud Light Institute is proud to introduce our latest innovation, finger cross trainers. Now you can burn the ridiculously low carbs in a Bud Light while indulging in your favorite finger activities, like finger soccer, long jump, hurdles, kickboxing. Burn carbs like a champion, the Bud Light Institute way. Fresh, smooth, real. Bud Light, it's all here.
They were designed to protect us. They were created to keep us safe from a world surrounded by danger. Now, this summer, get defensive. Ford Freestar with a side curtain airbag that protects all 3 rows. And now during the One Big Event Ford authorized clearance, you can get 0 for $60 or $6,000 cash back. Ford Freestar with the government's highest crash test rating. Now playing for a limited time.
At AT&T Wireless, we've made big improvements to our GSM network that are hard to miss, like double the coverage and improved signal strength even in buildings. Introducing GSM America from AT&T Wireless, our best network ever. Sign up now for our national plan and get coast-to-coast coverage with no roaming charges. We'll even give you a 30-day risk-free trial. To experience our best network ever, stop by a store today. How many bars do you have? From now until July 31st, get an LG flip phone for $29.99.
Acura TSX, the 6-speed, 200 horsepower getaway car, one of Car and Driver's 10 best.
Productive night for the Cubs in all facets of the game. Outstanding pitching, terrific defense, and boy, do they use the long ball to great effect in a bandbox in Philadelphia. 5-1 the final score, and the booming bat, Steve, tonight's Budweiser plays of the game.
Derrek Lee hits one out. Moises Alou, a 2-run shot. All 5 runs, courtesy of the home run. Sammy Sosa, a monster shot to straightaway center off the hitter's background. And that was enough for Kerry Wood and the Pensman. Lester, Remlinger, and Farnsworth finishing it up. So a very successful start to a 7-game road trip.
There's your final. Cubs celebrate a 5-1 victory. A final word from Citizens Bank Park right after this.
Over 20 years of exhilarating drivers, impressing bystanders, and intimidating other sedans. Presenting the 265 horsepower V6 Nissan Maxima with attractive standard features like 18-inch wheels, sky view windows, and now $1,000 cash back or 1.9% financing for 60 months. Nothing has changed. Everything has changed.
With SBC Unlimited Local Calling, you also get 60 minutes of long distance for around $1 a day. That's a lot of time. A person could run out of things to say. I like to keep a list of conversation starters nearby the phone. Like fashion. I can't wear corduroy. It's too loud.
Get unlimited local calling, 60 minutes a month of long distance, and more for around $1 a day. Compared to what you're spending now, you could see serious savings.
It will let out the seat for you. Take in the sides. Even adjust for the proper length. The Lexus ES with an advanced memory system. For those who appreciate a custom fit. At your Chicago area Lexus dealer.
5-1 again, our final score. Thanks to our fine crew here on the Cubs Net, our producer and Philadelphia native Pete Toma, Skip Ellison, our director. Mark Brady's our associate producer, the executive producer of the Cubs TV network, Bob Vorwald. Thanks to our AD in the booth, Becky Solomon, and our studio coordinator back in Chicago, PJ Crushell. Successful night, and look for 2 more. Tomorrow's game on Fox, Steve. We're back for Mark Pryor, a much anticipated start on Sunday against 11th game winner and left-handed pitcher Eric Milton of the Phillies.
The Cubs knew that this would be a special road trip. They had to get off to a successful start. They're now within 1 game of 500 on the road with 2 more here in Philly. And we'll see you Sunday.
What a night for the offense. 5-1 your final score. We'll see you Sunday. For Steve Stone, Chip Carey from Philadelphia. Good night, everybody.
Chicago Cubs baseball brought to you by Bud Light. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here. Comcast Digital Cable. More Chicago sports now in high def. The Illinois Lottery. Have a ball with the Illinois Lottery during their 30th anniversary celebration. By Pepsi. It's the Cola. And by Southwest Airlines. Over 2,800 daily nonstops to 60 destinations all across the country.
Winnie from Lincoln Park loves watching The King of Queens. Weeknights at 9 and 10 on WCIU, Channel 26, The U.
You got it.
Come on. Here we go, baby. Work with me. Oh, well, okay. Okay. On.
Hey, what, you like your keys in your car?
No, I have a shirt in the back. I'm trying to get on the hanger without opening the door.
So, trying to help out.
Moron.
My eyes are getting weary. My back is getting tight. I'm sitting here in traffic on the Queensboro Bridge tonight. But I don't care, 'cause all I want to do is catch my my check and drive right home to you. 'Cause baby, all my life I will be driving home to you.
So that's the offer on this Saturn Ion?
Yeah.
Good. So what's the offer when we factor in the catch?
Oh, no, sir, there is no catch.
What's the catch?
No, I'm serious. There is no catch.
Just